Good afternoon. My name is Charles Ayre, and today is Tuesday, November 13th, 2012. I currently work for PA Cyber as a 4th grade elementary teacher facilitator. This field-based activity will take an in-depth look at how advancing technology has shaped our world, including education. Furthermore, this particular component of the project will analyze the possibilities that technology has to build collaborative partnerships with others in the educational process, including parents, students, co-teachers, the community at large, businesses, and community agencies. We will then examine how the information gathered in the field-based activity may improve student academic performance. Looking at our world itself, imagine it without technology. You would have to imagine a world without all of the luxuries and necessities, for that matter, that we enjoy and need to function on a day-to-day basis. But could we function? Could we get by? Now, imagine the education field without technology. There would be no computer labs, e-learning, online schooling, and the like. But again, could the education field survive without technology? The answer is no, not in today's society. It used to be able to function without technology, but at the same pace as the relevant world around it. Technology is advancing on a daily basis and is shaping who we are, how we learn, how we teach, and how we live. More and more technology is impacting the field of education. In fact, enrollment is growing exponentially in online schooling compared to the traditional brick-and-mortar schools. According to Summers, online education enrollment has a 21% growth rate compared to a 2% growth rate in overall higher education. This trend can be expected to continue as the technological services become easier to distribute. With the rise in online education comes the rise in distance learning. You may be asking yourself how relationships such as parent to teacher, student to teacher, and student to student can exist outside a traditional classroom setting. How can Mrs. Smith, who lives in Philadelphia, establish a partnership with her son's teacher who lives in Pittsburgh? Thanks to technology, these collaborative partnerships are made possible. Let's take a closer look at these possibilities and how they may improve student performance. The internet, for one. This may be the hub of all communications other than a phone call. Schools now have websites for students and parents to stay abreast of what is going on in their classroom by visiting teacher sites for announcements, homework assignments, and directions for completing certain tasks. These can be accessed 24/7, answering any quick questions that families may have. The use of blogs and wikis. A discussion tab created by a teacher allows students to go in and reflect on their work, share ideas with others, and communicate with one another on class projects. It's also a great way to utilize a question and answer forum for parents and teachers. Summers brings up an interesting point here, saying that what will facilitate the easier distribution will be shared texts and the ability to collaborate on projects remotely. In-person learning will no longer be seen as superior to distance learning. School-based media sites. Social media is being utilized to facilitate social learning tools and learning management systems. Expect entire educational social media networks to build off sites like Facebook. Finally, perhaps one of the favorite ways preferred to communicate is face-to-face through tools such as Blackboard Collaborate, Skype, Google, and so on. These modes of communication allow parties to see one another wherever they are as long as they have proper connection. This virtual face-to-face communication is not only collaboratively used as a teacher to student, but also for parent-teacher conferences, business meetings, department meetings between co-workers, etc. All of the aforementioned possibilities just mentioned assist in building collaborative partnerships. In addition, they also establish a rapport between involved parties. Now that we know these technological advances create collaborative partnerships, we ask ourselves, do they improve student academic performance, and if so, how? I recently sat down for a brief discussion with Jackie Laffey, an instructional supervisor at PA Cyber. This is what she had to say. Hi Jackie, thanks for joining me this morning for this field-based activity. How you doing this morning?
Just fine, thanks.
Jackie, tell us briefly about your professional background.
Oh, I've been in the field of education for about 22 years now, both in private, public, and parochial schools, all three. I have a bachelor's in education through a state school, way back when it used to be certified K through 8, and then the praxis came through, and so now I have my English praxis 7 through 9 and social studies 7 through 9. I have a master's in reading as a reading specialist through Duquesne and a master's in strategic leadership.
Awesome. So you have a pretty broad and intense background there in education. It can be said that PA Cyber and distance learning share a common bond. What kind of innovative ways are offered for students at PA Cyber to build collaborative partnerships to maintain appropriate socialization?
Wow. Well, yeah, that's a pretty loaded question. However, PA Cyber also realizes when they became the top cyber school about 12 years ago in the state of Pennsylvania, that they were missing something 3 years in. So we developed something called ArtReach, we developed something called Family Link, and lastly the satellite offices, to sort of help bring the parents together and have more socialization for the kids.
Okay. PA Cyber recently launched a program titled Clicks and Bricks, where students can come to a physical site for one-on-one tutoring in a classroom setting a few times a week. Do you notice any improvement in academic achievement for students in this blended learning approach? And if so, why do you think there is improvement?
100%, most certainly. Not every student, of course, you don't have to be an educator to know this, not every student learns the same way, 100%. Blended learning and family support are the keys to success in education. So with PA Cyber taking a proactive role in making Clicks and Bricks programs become available, we're finding that the students succeed more.
And with your experience as an educator, as you touched upon at the beginning of this interview, you've noticed and experienced change in the way education is delivered over the past years. So as you continue in this field, where do you see education going in the future, technologically speaking?
Oh, well, I think the internet has made everything readily available. All information is readily available. If you have access to the internet, you'll have access to all the answers. Let me go over that question one more time. Can you repeat that? Second half of it.
Sure. As you continue in the field of education, where do you see education going in the future, technologically speaking?
Oh, great. So we're looking at polycoms and blackboards, online schools, less physical engagement. I believe it's only going to go stronger and stronger. I foresee online education being in the forefront within the next 15 years.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And finally, Jackie, close out this session. Talk about some of the pros and cons you've seen regarding the advancement of technology and how it impacts student performance in the classroom.
Awesome. Oftentimes the pros, of course, the information is readily available and the answers are readily available. It also brings a strong sense of independence to the student, having the use of the internet. However, some cons, which could almost be the same as the pros depending on how you look at it, less physical contact, and you're making them more independent. However, they're not having that sense of building, problem solving within the community or within their classroom.
Okay. That's all the questions I have for you today. Thank you very much for sitting down with me and discussing these in-depth questions regarding technology and how it's handled in an online school setting. So thank you for your time.
Okay, great. Thanks.
The answer of whether or not technological advances improve student academic performance is yes. The Education Commission of the United States asserts that when integrated effectively, technology can allow students to initiate self-directed research projects or collaborate with other students around the world. It can allow students to improve the presentation of their ideas with illustrative graphics and pictures. Technology gives students the opportunity to increase their communication skills and gain exposure to different cultural perspectives. It also gives students the opportunity to speak to experts and apply what they've learned in the classroom to what goes on outside of it. Lastly, students with access to collaborative network technologies showed positive gains in achievement on constructed tests, standardized tests, and national tests if the learning objectives were clear. Smartboards are rapidly replacing chalkboards, tablets are becoming more prevalent and more affordable, Apps are increasing intelligence in younger children, and video games are assisting in hand-eye coordination and knowledge of historical events. Perhaps one of the most innovative ways that has not been officially introduced yet is holographic classrooms. This is something truly of the future. Imagine looking at a figure such as your teacher or a historical person from the past, and it being so real like they're right in front of you speaking. According to freelance writer Natalie Bracco, who writes for a technology education site, this is the wave of the future in education. With all this said, I would like to conclude with 3 goals for myself as an educator. 1. To research different methods of collaboration and become more familiar with them. 2. I plan to use more of these methods of collaboration in my virtual teaching. And 3rd, to convince our politicians to support funding for cyber charter schools and the technology that goes along with them. Thank you for watching this video of the field-based activity.